Hello everyone, today we will explain the neuromuscular junction, including its structure and how transmission occurs. The neuromuscular junction is the junction between a motor neuron and a muscle fiber. Its main function is to transmit nerve impulses from the neuron to the muscle so that contraction can occur. The neurotransmitter involved is acetylcholine. First, I will explain the structure. The first component is the synaptic terminal, which is the swollen end of the motor neuron axon. Inside the synaptic terminal, there are many synaptic vesicles that contain acetylcholine. There are also many mitochondria, which provide ATP needed for the synthesis and release of acetylcholine. The second structural component I will explain is the motor end plate. The motor end plate is a specialized region of the sarcolemma, which is the plasma membrane of the muscle fiber. This region is highly folded and these folds are called junctional folds. The junctional folds increase the surface area for more receptors. On these folds, there are many ligand-gated ion channels which have specific receptor sites for acetylcholine. These structures prepare the muscle fiber to receive the signal.
Now I will explain the synaptic cleft and how transmission begins. The synaptic cleft is a small gap between the synaptic terminal and the motor end plate. Even though it is very small, it is essential because it separates the neuron and the muscle fiber. Now let's look at the transmission of input step by step. First, when an action potential arrives at the axon terminal, it depolarizes the presynaptic membrane. This depolarization opens voltage-gated calcium ion channels in the presynaptic membrane. Calcium ions then enter the synaptic terminal by diffusion. The influx of calcium ions causes synaptic vesicles containing acetylcholine to fuse with the presynaptic membrane. Acetylcholine is then released into the synaptic cleft by osteotosis.
Next, I will continue the process. The acetylcholine release diffuses across the synaptic cleft and binds to specific receptor sites on the ligand-gated ion channels at the motor end plate. When acetylcholine binds to these receptors, the ligand-gated ion channels open. This allows sodium ions to enter the muscle fiber. The influx of sodium ions causes depolarization of the muscle fiber membrane. If the depolarization reaches threshold, an action potential is generated in the muscle fiber. After this, acetylcholine is broken down by the enzyme acetylcholinesterase in the synaptic cleft to stop continuous stimulation.
Finally, I will explain what happens after the muscle action potential is generated. The action potential propagates along the sarcolemma and travels down structures called T to bolus. This electrical signal then triggers voltage-gated calcium channels associated with the sarcoplasmic reticulum to open. As a result, calcium ions are released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum into the sarcoplasm. The increase in calcium concentration in the sarcoplasm initiates the process of muscle contraction, which will then follow the sliding filament mechanism.
In conclusion, the neuromuscular junction consists of three main structural components: the synaptic terminal, the synaptic cleft, and the motor end plate. Transmission begins with the arrival of an action potential, followed by calcium influx, release of acetylcholine, binding to receptors, depolarization of the muscle fiber, and finally calcium release inside the muscle cell. All these steps ensure that a nerve impulse is successfully converted into muscle contraction. Thank you!